Let's start. So, we are going to talk about this is the last lecture of this course, which is in Indian economy some contemporary perspective. We are going to talk about the current economic outlook, and we have just covered in the previous session we covered about the India's budget, and we covered about the India Economic Survey and how the economic survey has explained the economic scenarios, and we also had compared our economy performance with the global economy. And we also had a look at how we can understand better the V-shaped trajectory that the economic survey emphasizes upon. And one of the important areas where we focused on was the sectoral analysis, that which sector has done well, and in that we found that the agriculture sector had done well. But on the 6 monthly analysis we found that utilities, apart from agriculture utilities, then we had the telecommunication services, then we had the other services in the professional, especially in terms of professional services, the service sector has done well. So, it reported the growth rate of, in the second 6 months it recorded the growth rate of 7.1%. So, that also shows that the whatever we have read in the newspaper about the green shoots. So, these were the sectors where we started seeing those, and going ahead it has been mentioned in the niche in the economic survey chapter 1 volume 2 that we will have the growth rate of real GDP of around 11%. So, this will be one of the areas to be discussed in future, and there will be a lot of debate and discussion for and against about this particular number. But it is also important to note that the unprecedented risk that we had seen in 2020, this will continue for some more time, because the rural economy is completely under distress, and though the farming activities have helped to some extent, but the non-agri income that was going to the rural segment, it has started recovering, but the speed, it will depend upon how quickly we go for our vaccination drive and how quickly we get back to the momentum that we had earlier. Unfortunately, India since 2016 has been reeling under the pressure of indigenous shocks and plus exogenous shocks also. So, indigenous shocks, we had the demonetization, then we had the GST implementation, and then after that we and we already having the banking sector crisis in 2018. We had the NBFC debacle, and then after that we started incorporating banks into the corporate insolvency resolution process under the insolvency bankruptcy code. And then since then we were still under the phase where we were thinking about focusing more on the manufacturing services. Now, that has also given us the idea that to what extent we can cover up and how we can think about. So, this particular session is more about the India's budget, how budget it has done. So, the references are same again, the Hindu, Live Mint and Economics Times, and I have referred all this. Global Economic Outlook, others will be for the previous lecture. So, let us start. So, the finance minister has divided the budget that was introduced in the Lok Sabha on 1st February. It has divided the budget into 6 pillars. So, I will be discussing each pillar here and whatever it has been incorporated in each pillar. So, there is a focus, a special focus, and the pandemic has created a special space for the agri-health sector to become one of the focused sectors in the country. So, this is so the budget mentions about PM Atmanirbhar Swasth Bharat Yojana. It is about the health, and it has the intention to support or provide support to the primary, secondary and tertiary sectors, and it has the budget outlay of 64,180 crores, and it has to be spent over 6 years. Budget outlay for health and well-being is about 2.23. So this 64,000 crore is for the Atmanirbhar Swasth Bharat Yojana, but the overall health expenditure in the budget, it is about 2.23 lakh crore, and it is much higher because last year we had the share of only 90, we had allocated only 94,452 crores, so which is a jump of around 137%, which is really a big jump, and it can be called as one of the largest jump we have seen in recent periods. For COVID-19 vaccine, there is going to be the provision of rupees 35,000 crore to in terms of going for procurement of these vaccines. And then we have the pneumococcal vaccine. It is also being used, and just to make sure that we don't have most child deaths, it will be spread across country, and this will also have the budgetary allocation. So for the first time after so many years, we have focused so much on health, and we are going to have the excess budget allocation for the health expenditure. So going ahead, I hope this will change the overall health outlook of the country. We also have the well-being plan. For example, Poshan 2.2 is going to be spread across 112 districts. There is also provision to have some kind of in terms of promotion of the localized medical practices. So community medicine will be also seeking attention. So there is a whole lot of emphasis to talk about this particular aspect. So as I mentioned, that Mission Poshan 2.0 to improve the nutritional outcomes around 112 districts. Then we have the modernization of existing health units at airports. 32 airports have been chosen, and the 15 seaports and land ports have also been chosen. There is a special provision under the Jal Jeevan Mission Urban Yojana, and this scheme also gives a lot of emphasis on the urban local bodies, municipal corporations that we have, and it is going to be across India. Whatever we have 4,378, and it has the capacity to cover around 2.86 crore household, especially in terms of liquid waste management. So the budget for this is around 2.87 lakhs crore. The government has given a special emphasis on the Swachh Bharat scheme, which is continuing, and there is a whole lot of emphasis on the urban Swachh Bharat scheme, Swachh Bharat mission, and it has the budget allocation of 1.41 lakhs crore, and it is also going to be spent over 5 years. So what is more important is that there is a focus on the health, and after that there is a focus on hygiene and well-being. So this is also a very important thing to be discussed. Then here we have the budget emphasizes on the fiscal and financial capital infrastructure. So there is going to be the Atmanirbhar Bharat product linked incentive scheme, where there will be a linkage set up from the suppliers point of view. Suppliers will be linked with the large industrial houses, and similarly, so there will be some kind of production link happening, and especially for example, especially in case of automobile, this is one area where it is critically important, and even it is going for the refrigeration and all other industries. So it has been announced for 13 sector. The government has committed nearly 1.97 lakhs crore in the next 5 years for this. The mega investment textile parks are going to come. Because of that, the textile ministry has received a lot of allocation, and just to give us some kind of competitive advantage, this mega textile in the form of special economic zones that we have already discussed when we are discussing about the economic policies, we found this. Highway and road works announced in the Kerala, Tamil Nadu and West Bengal and Assam. So these are the states state level development. So there are extension of highways and roadways in these states. If you remember, we had discussed about the development of financial institutions. So after independence, when we started looking for the financialization scheme of industrialization, then we had the developmental financial institutions. But during 1970s, because of the domestic protection and the industrial production given, these DFIs were having a higher NPAs, and there were a lot of defaults, and these were not known until we opened our economy in 1991, and then DFIs became, and DFIs were forced to get into the commercial bank businesses. So a lot of institutions were set up, but now there is a particular bill is going to be introduced in the parliament to setting up the DFI. The government has provided a sum of rupees 20,000 crores to capitalize DFI, and the ambition is to have the lending portfolio of at least 5 lakhs crore for the DFI in 3 years time. So DFI, it may look like that whatever we had the IL&FS saga, so IL&FS may take the shape of DFI if it is not going or whatever the regulation process that we have, if it works out, then it may have the chance to be converted into DFI, but government has taken a different route and it is going to set up a DFI. As of now, it is not clear. For the first time, we are going government has given the highest ever allocation to the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. So it has the allocation of 1.18 lakhs crore, and government has allocated 1.08 lakhs crore for capital investment. So this is also one of the areas where there will be a lot of investment made in this regard. Then, as we had mentioned about the Indian Financial Code, so in the Indian Financial Code we had the Sri Krishna Committee recommendation. Under that, there was some kind of provision for amalgamation of existing acts into one, so that this reduces the confusion, and there will be easy monitoring also. So I think from that mind, it looks like the consolidate the provisions of SEBI Act 1992, Depositories Act 1996, Securities Contracts Regulation Act 1956, Government Securities Act 2007 into rationalized single. It will be called as the Securities Markets Code. So in the same way we had the Indian Financial Code, this will be called as the Securities Markets Code, and this will merge all these acts into one, and maybe in a unified way this will be presented. Then Insurance Act 1938 to increase the permissible limit from 49% to 74%. This is going to be one of the contesting decisions that government has took over, and allow foreign ownership control with safeguards. Now, what will be the safeguard? That is the concern. So you may be reading in newspaper that how government has gone for the privatization or going for more FDI into the insurance sector, and this will also going to create buzz, because for the government 3 institutions are important. One is called the banks. We have the SBI, and then we have the insurance, where there will bulk amount of money coming in the form of premiums, and then we have the pension fund, where the hard earned money of the formal and informal sectors may also be coming, and that also gives some, it becomes valid for the government to use it whenever they want, so it creates extra money. But now government has gone for allowing FDI limit in that also. There is also emphasis on the BPCL, Air India, Shipping Corporation of India, Container Corporation of India, IDBI Bank, BML, then Pawan Hans, Neelachal Ispat Nigam Limited will be divested. Now, this is again one of the topics, those who are pro about this, or those who support, they may be in favor of going for privatization, but there are against view that privatization is not the only solution. We should look for the efficiency of these institutions and how we can make them better, because these are the institutions which have contributed in the growth and development, and it will be better. So BPCL is going to be now divested. Other bank, IDBI Bank, the government proposes to take up the privatization of 2 public sector banks and 1 general insurance company in 2021-22. So, this investment target is set is around 1.75 lakhs crore for 2021, and this is also quite lower than the previous year. It was more than 2 lakhs crore in the previous 2020-21, but in 21-22 it has been set for 1.7 lakhs crore. Then there is a whole lot of allocation to the inclusive development for aspirational India, announced to cover agriculture and allied sectors, farmers welfare and rural India, migrant workers, and the labor and the financial in inclusion angle also been taken care. There is a whole lot of allocation for the credit aspect of the farming sector. So, government has given agriculture credit target of 16.5 lakhs crore in 2020-21. There is also allocation for the rural infrastructure development fund. It has also been increased by 10,000 crore. Earlier it was 30,000 crore. Now it is 40,000 crore. More than 15,000 schools will be qualitatively strengthened to include all components of national education policy, which means that they will be enabled with the e-learnings platforms. So I am NPTEL, it has been already been made available. So there is a whole lot of effort to bring these virtual platform into the mainstream education. Also there is also going to be whatever in national education policy contains in terms of the curriculum assignment. There will be further realignment of the existing curriculum with the new education policy. So this is also going to be the one of the major contributions. Then we have the a portal to be launched to maintain the information and based on the construction workers, basically the contractual workers, those who do not have the long term contractual jobs, they will be launched and there will be information shared. Social security to be extended to these gig and platform workers, those who are there. Margin capital required for loans via Stand Up India scheme reduced from 25 to 15% for SC, STs and SC, STs and women. So this is also a good move, because whatever is the in terms of credit ability, this will be cheaper. For human capital, from human resource point of view, there are initiative taken. So 100 new Sainik schools would be set up to be set up, and it will be decided. Then there is a plan to set up 750 Eklavya Vidyalaya schools in the tribal areas. Then as in Ladakh, there is a provision for a central university. So one central university is going to be opened in Ladakh. So these are the major recommendations that we see. Then if it also emphasizes on the innovation and R&D, because it is also one of the areas, and it has been found that until unless we look for the until unless we provide the incentives for the higher education, so just to make sure that the research ecosystem has a role in the or just to give a proper shape or to give a new opportunities in the R&D domain. So there is going to be the National Research Foundations, and it will have the outlay of 50,000 crore over the 5 years, and this amount will be available, and this will help in terms of enriching the research environment in the country basically. And this will also be focused on the nationally identified areas where the national thrust areas are mentioned. Under minimum governance government and maximum governance scheme, that the tagline that the government uses, under that there is going to be the National Commission for Allied Health Care Professionals, which are going to be, and this particular allied healthcare professionals are going to be important, because this will also give the alternative healthcare services at least chance to grow in a much better way. Then there is also going to be National Nursing and Midwifery Commission Bill, and it will be also introduced. Proposed conciliation mechanism with mandate for quick resolution and contractual disputes with central public sector enterprises. So, this is also going to be in the form of not just the structure of the PSUs, but also in terms of the labor laws. So, I think it is going to be have the widespread implications. First digital census has been planned, which is his first time in the history, and it has been given the allocation of 3,768 crores. So, this is also one of the one of the areas to look for. Then we have the rupees 300 crore grants had been given to government of Goa to celebrate the independence from the Portuguese. So, this is so it is going to be the Diamond Jubilee celebration. Then 1,000 crore rupees has been given for the welfare of tea workers, especially women and children in Assam and West Bengal through a special scheme. So, these are the major recommendations which I thought I should be mentioning. In terms of economics, if you talk about, then we have the expenditure, which is going to be in this budget plan. It has been set up around 34 lakhs crore rupees. The budget amount, that is to the total amount that we have in the budget to be spent, it is about 34 lakhs crore. So, which means that it is about 35 lakhs crore rupees that has been allocated in the budget 2001-22, and government spent around 34 lakhs 50,305 crores in 2020-21. 13%, there has been 13% higher than the budget estimate. Receipt that we had in terms of other than borrowing, it is going to be 19 lakhs. So, this is going to be somewhat in terms of revised estimate, this may be lower, but it is going to be in terms of borrowing, it is going to be much higher. And so here what appears that since the earnings of the government is going to be the 19 lakhs crore. So, of course, the rest of the amount whatever I mentioned, the government has to go for borrowing. In terms of nominal GDP growth, it has been assumed that this year the growth rate will be of nominal GDP, not the real GDP. Real GDP has been projected at around 11%, but nominal GDP it is going to be the 14.4% in 2021-22. Revenue deficit is targeted to be around 5.1%, fiscal deficit is targeted to be around 6.8%. Now, here 6.8%. So, if you remember, we have already discussed the FRBM Act, and under the FRBM Act there is the rule of 3%, and now as per the NK Singh Amendment Committee it was more restricted 2.5%, but those rules are relaxed given the special situation we have, and considering that it is much more than almost double. So, you can think about how much it will be in terms of borrowing. So, this year the government will have to go for higher borrowing just to meet the expected allocations that the government has already announced in the budget. So, the going ahead, the scenario would be that how quickly a government is going to have the receipt more from the GST collection and others. And second thing is that as per the recommendation of it will also depend on the recommendation of 15th Finance Commission, that how it is going to decide. And we have seen that the states like Karnataka and the Karnataka and Kerala have already received a lower amount because of the weightage that it has given in terms of the devolution. So, keeping those things in mind, it looks like that in future the government will have a really tough time in terms of spending the money. And in terms of ministerial allocations, the Ministry of Jal Shakti has got 64%. Ministry of Consumer, Food and Public Distribution, it has the 48%, and Ministry of Communication is 31%. Now, these numbers are sufficient to tell you that. So, from the point of view of what we have just discussed about the budget. So, this is the overview that I wanted to give about the India's budget. You must have read about this, all of you. What is more important about the India budget is to look at two things, that what are the priorities. So, in this budget you have the priorities of the health. So, in exams or something, if you are writing some exams or if you have to convey to anyone about the major things. So, you can simply say that the focus is more on the revival of manufacturing, and then the health sector has got the major benefit. In terms of the sectors that we discuss, services sector is not having that much share in this. The major focus is on the social platforms. For example, we also have for the a special allocation for the Swachh Bharat mission. Then we have the urban Swachh Bharat mission. The Jal Shakti mission is also has taken has gone for takeoff. So these policies are going to be the major priorities in terms of rural development and even urban. In Finance Commission reports, the 15th Finance Commission talks about the participation of the local bodies. So that has been there, and is also a new thing that has been there for a quite long time. People are talking about, but for the first time there has been explicit mention. In 15th Finance Commission we also mentioned about the fiscal council. So that will also help the government in checking the fiscal deficit target, which is going to be 6.8%, but it may go up if we don't have the GST collections, but this will depend upon the vaccination drive and whatever measures we have taken. As of now, what it looks like that there is some hope from this budget. And this annual statement, it is just for 1 year. So maybe next year we will have something more to say about it, because it is going to be just whatever money has been promised, it will be allocated and then it will be carried forward. And with this I would like to close, and I hope the course has given you sufficient idea about the recent developments, and these 2 sessions must have been helpful. I would request all of you to please go through these references, whatever readings I have mentioned, that will be helpful. Thank you so much.